All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Eryk, your boy Anders. Going to start off with some breaking news, not about your fight. It's about your name change, but I've come up with it for you. I think it's going to become Eryk Dadbod Anders because I seen your last Instagram post. Well, not your last one, but about a week back. It said you're at hashtag 240. You can't be 240 pounds at the minute.
Man, I'm pretty close. Yeah. In between fights, I'm a beer drinking, burger eating, pizza eating, you know, um, stay at home dad kind of thing. I do very minimal training and, just kind of enjoy life. I go away from the kids for like 2 months at a time to get ready for a fight. So when I'm home, I want to be home and not do much, So yeah, I am pretty close to 240.
Well, obviously you switch between weight classes a little bit between middleweight and light heavyweight. Does that play a factor? Do you think, right, I want to eat a bit more pizza, drink a bit more beer, so I'm going to fight at light heavyweight, or is it not about that?
Well, nah, I just I also had surgery on my nose and my knee, so even if I wanted to train, I really couldn't do much. So, I just been at home working in the garden and hanging out. So not really watching what I've been eating and just enjoying life.
Well, obviously, news broke pretty recently, assuming that it's accurate, that you will be fighting pretty soon, and it's been scheduled against Dolidze. Obviously, first of all, can you just confirm that for us and confirm what weight class you will be fighting at?
Yeah, we're going to both fight in middleweight, November 13th, and I believe it'll be at the Apex in Vegas.
Nice. So how did that come about then? Because sometimes we talk to fighters and they get thrown a few different names, a few different dates. Was there a few other names in the mix, or was Roman the only one and you just said, yeah, let's do it?
They offered me a short notice against Alessio Di Chirico. But it was like 2 weeks notice, and like I said, I'm pushing 240, so making 185 is not going to happen. So then they came back and offered Roman in November, and I really don't say no to opponents. I don't get offered 3 or 4 guys at a time. This is the guy. Do you want to fight him or not? And yeah, okay. And Roman's, is kind of a friend of mine. We've trained together. His coach and I are really good friends. So, for me, this is just business, and hopefully everybody's cool afterwards.
Fair enough. So is this the first time you've fought someone that you're pretty close to, or have you done this before?
I mean, we're not like best friends or nothing like that, but we've been in the training room together, trained together a few times. Probably not the guy I'm gonna call and ask how his day was, or go get a cup of coffee with, but familiar with each other.
So obviously Roman's pretty talented himself, got a solid record of 9-1, only lost by decision. Do you think it's fair enough to say that you're his toughest test so far?
Man, I've been around and I've fought a bunch of guys. I think that each fight is the toughest fight because you've already done what you've done, and you have to get ready, and each opponent presents its own problems and is a different puzzle to solve. But man, I fought guys like Machida, Thiago Santos, Khalil Roundtree, a bunch of guys that have been around and are staples in the UFC. So, I think I definitely had the edge and experience for sure.
Yeah. And I know one thing you sort of said recently was that you don't want to let fights sort of slip away and go to decision too often. And as I say, Roman's his only loss is by decision. So obviously he's never been finished before. Is there some extra motivation there? I know you said you're sort of familiar with him, but is there some motivation to think, when somebody's not been finished before, to think I want to be the first to do it, or does that not really cross your mind?
That doesn't really cross my mind. There's probably a reason why he's got one loss, or probably a reason why that loss was the decision. He's tough, he's talented, and he's a fighter. So, like I said, each fighter presents its own presents their own issues and problems and whatnot. So, you know, I just expect to go in there and put on a good show, and definitely gonna walk out of there with my hand raised.
One of the things that you said after your last fight, obviously coming from the football background as well, is that you really love the fans and you wanted that pop back. Is there any sort of indication whether the fans might be present for your next fight, or do you think with the Apex it's not looking likely?
I think it is at the Apex. I'm not sure, but they are having limited fans in there, But I think the thing that I like more than fans is the smaller cage. Those smaller cages. It's a boxer's cage. It's small. You're on top of each other in there, and me being the striker, I think it makes it hard for guys to be elusive. Good thing about this fight, I think that he's going to try and be really heavy on the grappling. I think that's his best chance to victory. So I don't expect him to be moving backwards too much.
One last thing on the matchup side of things, away from Roman, you're in the headlines. I don't know if you've seen this week. I might butcher his name, Marc-Andre Barriault. He's calling you out again. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but there's been a number of occasions where he specifically said that he wants to fight you. And this popped up again this week because you mentioned it. He said that he's a fan of you. He's got nothing against you, but he just, he really favors that matchup and wants to get in there with you. Is this something that you've seen and that you know much about?
Yeah, I've seen him call me out in the past. I'm not aware of him in the his most recent call out or whatever, but I got a fight on paper already, so it's falling on deaf ears at this point. For me, that guy is like 2-3 and has tested positive before. So one, I'm not really interested in fighting anybody who's tested positive for any kind of bad substance, because I truly feel once you start that stuff, or I don't know his situation or whatever, but once you start that stuff, you're not getting off of it. There's a lot of confidence and when guys use that stuff or whatever. So it is what it is. And two, like, it doesn't do anything for my career. Yeah, it's another win. I get both checks and all, but I'm trying to progress and move forward, So, fighting a guy that's 2-3 or whatever his record is, without any notable wins, doesn't really do much for me.
So obviously I'm going to say this because I'm speaking to you, but I do mean it. I think I see you as one of the most, I don't know if underrated is the right word, because it's not that people don't rate you, but I think more people should be shouting about you and more people should know about you. You touched on it earlier, some of the people that you fought, just an absolute list of who's like the Jockos, Mia Schatz, Brendan Allen, so many fighters that you've fought, so many that you beat as well, 20 fights now. Do you feel like you're one of the most sort of underrated people? Do you think that people are sleeping on you a bit, or?
Underrated, no, maybe underappreciated, the vast majority of my fights have been, barn burners and knockouts. And I think that's what people like to see. It's been a while since I've knocked somebody out, I think. And I haven't been fighting as frequently as I used to, due to injuries and whatnot. So, they maybe they forgot, but, come November 13th, they'll be reminded.
Nice. No, I don't want to touch on a bit of a negative note and prod or anything, but obviously the last opponent that you fought was Darren Stewart. You're not in the same boat as him because you beat Darren Stewart, looked really good doing it, and then he's coming off another loss after that, but he was cut by the UFC. Is there any part in your mind, does that make a difference in, how you approach the fight, or just your thoughts on your current stance in the UFC when the last person you fought gets cut? Or, as I say, you are in a different position to him, so do you not really think about that?
I mean, we're all going to get cut at some point, we're all going to retire at some point. So, I don't know. I don't really care or think about it too much. I think when he made the decision to move to 205 and not fight at 185 anymore, I think he kind of put the nail in his own coffin, So the guys, they're just too big and durable at 205, for him. He's smaller than me, and I thought that it was a better fight between him and I at middleweight than it was at 205. So, you know, whenever guys decide to, like, I don't want to cut weight anymore, you know, I mean, I understand if they're cutting like a drastic amount of weight and they're getting finished because they're not rehydrated or whatever. Okay. But I don't think that was the case with him. I think that he was just, you know, kind of at the end of his rope, you know, kind of thing. And really wasn't trying to put all the effort that he needed to put in to go fight, you know. So like I said, he wasn't a very big middleweight, so you know he's a tiny light heavyweight, and you know, like I said, there's not very many guys at 205 that he's going to beat or was going to beat anyway. So I think that he kind of did it to himself.
Don't take offense to this next one because it's always a tricky subject. I'm going to start off by saying I know you're not old, but 34 years of age, everybody ages a bit differently in MMA. I think you've got people who start later. Lots of people become champion later. Some people start earlier than others or take more damage than others. At 34 years old right now, how close to your prime do you feel?
Man, to be honest, the first time I fought Darren Stewart was the best I've ever felt physically and mentally, ever. And then all my competition, you know, between football and MMA, it was the best and most in shape. You know, I think my heart rate was down to like 39 or 38. My wrestling heart rate was beats per minute. So I can, you know, almost guarantee that it's never been that low before. You know, I think it was the most like ripped I'd ever been, the most explosive I had ever been. And, you know, that's coming from a guy who comes from like a football background where speed and explosion and, you know, these things are paramount. Like you have to have these things. So, man, I think I got a lot of fight left in me. My body, you know, feels good, but you know, my kids are getting older. So, my oldest will be in high school here in about 3 years. So, I plan on retiring when he goes into high school. So, you know, I got about 3 years left. You know, regardless of how I feel, probably hang it up around then.
Well, one last one I'll leave you with, and then we'll let you get going. You just mentioned there that you might only have sort of 3 years left. We spoke about some of the names that you fought. Is there anyone left who you really want to get in there with before it's all said and done? Sort of a dream matchup?
Man, you know, I would really, really like to fight for the belt before I get out of here. But you know, just whoever has the belt, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, it's not like I hate anybody or I just like the matchup or whatever. You know, it's just I'd like to be a champion before I hang it up. So, you know, that's why I'm trying to work my way in that direction. So, you know, whoever has the belt whenever I get there is the dream matchup.
Nice, good stuff. Right. Well, that's all we've got for you today, mate. Massively appreciate your time. Thanks so much for doing this. Hopefully speak again, maybe before you fight for that title. But yeah, I massively appreciate it. We'll let you get going and best of luck November 13th.
Hey, appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me.